If you take an obese patient and prescribe them a traditional calorie-restricted diet, the failure rate for long-term weight loss sits at a staggering 99.7%. Out of every 1,000 people who try it, only 3 will keep the weight off. For decades, the medical establishment has relied almost entirely on the calories in, calories out equation. CICO is the idea that body weight is purely a mathematical balance of the energy you eat versus the energy you burn. When patients plateau and regain the weight, doctors often blame them for cheating or lacking willpower. Dr. Jason Fung, a nephrologist and author, points out a massive flaw in this logic. He argues that these calorie bullies are ignoring human biology. Your body doesn't possess a calorie counter. It possesses hormones. Saying that excess calories cause weight gain is like saying the Titanic sank because it hit an iceberg. Yes, the collision happened, but the actual reason the ship went down was that it was going too fast in icy conditions, unable to turn in time. Weight gain operates on the exact same logic. Overeating doesn't cause obesity. It's the result of a biological problem. Your body is misinterpreting hormonal signals, forcing you to consume more energy than you actually need. Your body regulates its fat stores using a biological thermostat. When you get cold, you shiver. When you drink too much water, you urinate. When your body has enough energy, it releases hormones to make you feel full, maintaining a perfect physiological equilibrium. This animated diagram shows what happens during homeostatic hunger, the physical, biological need for energy to maintain equilibrium. When you eat, the thermostat dials up, triggering an insulin molecule to lock energy particles inside a fat cell container. High insulin signals your body to store fat, which temporarily locks away that energy and leaves you feeling physically starved. Physical hunger, however, shares the stage with a different drive: hedonic hunger. Hedonic hunger is emotional eating driven entirely by the pursuit of pleasure and dopamine, completely bypassing your biological energy needs. Food engineers have spent decades designing ultra-processed foods to exploit this exact pathway. By combining refined sugars, fats, and artificial textures, they bypass your natural satiety signals and deliver massive, rapid dopamine hits straight to your brain. When you consume finely ground processed carbohydrates, the glucose enters your bloodstream with the same rapid absorption speed as addictive drugs. You cannot out-willpower a chemical rush that your brain is hardwired to seek out. We know chemical signals easily override caloric math because of historic weight loss drugs. For example, fen-phen was a highly effective anti-obesity medication in the 1990s. It caused massive weight loss not by restricting calories, but by stimulating the sympathetic nervous system to completely crush a patient's appetite. Ultra-processed foods rewrite your body's natural programming, bypassing satiety to maintain a constant state of hunger. There is a third highly manipulative driver of obesity: conditioned hunger. This is a purely social and environmental urge to consume food, even when you aren't physically or emotionally hungry. This relies on classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a psychological concept where an external stimulus is repeatedly paired with a biological reward, until the stimulus alone triggers a physical response. In the 1890s, Ivan Pavlov demonstrated this by ringing a bell every time he fed his dogs. Eventually, the animals learned the association. The dogs would begin to salivate and feel physical hunger simply by hearing the bell, even if there was no food in the room. Modern society has turned us into Pavlov's dogs. We are constantly bombarded with environmental cues to eat. We are trained to buy popcorn at the movies, snack in the car, and expect a plate of cookies the minute we sit down for a work meeting. You cannot force yourself to be less hungry through sheer discipline. When your environment is perfectly engineered to trigger constant Pavlovian feeding cues, willpower will always fail against biology. To actually lose weight, you have to fix the biological instructions you are sending to your body. You can blunt insulin spikes and manipulate your hormonal response to food using a few daily hacks without ever counting a single calorie. This line graph compares two very different glucose spike curves based on food sequencing. If you eat a meal's carbohydrates first, you get a massive, sharp spike in glucose and insulin. But if you eat the exact same meal and simply consume the protein and vegetables 10 minutes before the carbohydrates, you create a flattened curve, sending a much weaker fat storage signal. You can lower that curve even further by consuming organic acids, like the acetic acid found in vinegar. When paired with a meal, vinegar physically inhibits your digestive enzymes, slowing down the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream. Changing the timing and composition of your meals rewires the hormonal instructions those calories send to your cells. For deeply ingrained metabolic dysfunction, researchers have discovered a therapeutic protocol known as the fasting mimicking diet. Fasting mimicking is a nutritional strategy that tricks the body into a fasted state while still allowing for a very small amount of food. Instead of enduring the agonizing stress of a pure water, roughly 500 calories a day, of foods like bone broth or steamed vegetables, this provides essential nutrients without triggering a massive growth signal. Depriving the body of constant digestion triggers extreme physiological benefits. The body breaks down old subcellular material to clear out waste, remodulates the immune system, and clears the inflammatory markers associated with chronic disease. Obesity is a hormonal disease, driven by the foods we eat and the environments we live in. By repairing the body's chemical signals through fasting and proper nutrient sequencing, the biological thermostat finally resets itself for lasting health.